Secretary Jewell, let me thank you very much for your visit to southern New Mexico. I know that you spent a couple of days there. You had the opportunity to get around and see the Oregon Peaks and Oregon Mountains, Desert Peaks National Monument, and get the opportunity to get out and hike a little bit. And I hope that was fruitful for you, and I think it really prepares us to move forward with legislation on the monument. So appreciate that visit, and always good to see Mike. Mike's a New Mexican, and we're very proud of you. And as you're well aware, Mike, the New Mexico's suffering the same kind of drought that has been talked about here, and some areas 13 years we've been in drought, and it's severely impacting farmers and ranchers and people that live off the land, our tribes. And I know the BOR has been working very diligently on that with all the groups that have been involved. It really hit me in a way when I was out near Tucumcari, and there's a project out there that has been organized in a way where the community's involved and the Bureau of Reclamation's involved. And since the Great Depression, when the project was built, always had water for farmers and ranchers. Last 2 years, not a single drop of water. So, I mean, it shows these are families with livestock and crops. They've got to have water. If they can afford to haul water, they can do that, but it's obviously much more expensive. And so we're in that difficult situation too, and appreciate all your work on that. Secretary Jewell, last year your Office of Natural Resource Revenue had determined that revenues paid to the states under the Mineral Leasing Act were subject to sequestration. You and I talked about that, and I asked you to reevaluate your position. And I really want to thank you for directing the ONR to reverse its position and not sequester the funds. This revenue is vital to states such as New Mexico. It funds necessary items such as public schools, community colleges, emergency response activities, and basic infrastructure projects. So it was critical that these funds not be impacted by sequestration. We appreciate your attention to that. And I also would like to share my concerns regarding another form of critical support for local governments. That's the program Payment in Lieu of Taxes, or PILT. As you know, the PILT program provides critical funding to communities in New Mexico like Cibola County, San Juan, Otero, Eddy counties, just to name a few of our 33 that get these funds. And I'm very concerned there might be a lapse. We've been able to work in the appropriations process to get a one-year extension, but I'm wondering if you could share with me your thoughts on how we can make sure we have the funds there, and how we can get congressional executive cooperation to see that we have PILT funding in 2014 and beyond.
Thank you, Senator, and it was a pleasure to visit your state, and it's the first time I've seen a tarantula on the trail, so that was interesting. We are strong supporters of PILT as well as secure rural schools. We recognize that when federal lands are in local communities, that it takes them off the tax rolls, and that's the purpose of PILT. There is in the President's budget a one-year reauthorization. As you know, for 2014, it passed on the Farm Bill. We would love to see a permanent fix, and I think as we look at reauthorization of the Land and Water Conservation Fund, potentially putting that together with PILT is an appropriate way of looking at a longer-term permanent source of funding for both programs, which are so important for the reasons that I talked about in my opening statement and in answer. So happy to work with you on that, and I think that makes sense as a rational path forward.
Yeah, and I was going to ask also about Land and Water Conservation Fund, but you've hit on both of those, and they're absolutely key programs to the West, and very, very much appreciate your help there. I wanted to also ask about the BLM pilot offices. As you know, the 2005 Energy Bill designated several pilot offices to receive extra resources to expedite permitting processing and conduct much-needed environmental oversight. These offices, which include the Carlsbad and Farmington offices in New Mexico, are already understaffed and overworked. But the looming expiration of this program at the end of 2015 would further burden these offices. Can you provide some insight into the importance of this pilot program as it relates to the responsible energy development in states like New Mexico, and how does the investment in energy development translate into revenue for the American taxpayer?
In a quick nutshell, because I know we're running out of time,
Yes.
the pilot offices were a great experiment, but they went along political lines, along state lines, and oil does not know, and gas and exploration resources don't know political boundaries. So there is support in the 15 budget for extension of the pilot office authority, but it also includes flexibility to be able to relocate the offices to meet the demands of permitting. So we have had dramatic reductions in the amount of time taken to process authorizations for permits to drill. We have improved the inspections because of the investment in these pilot offices, but we do find that there's sometimes a mismatch between where the pilot office is and where the demand has moved to because of the development. But they've had a good return on investment, and we believe that that's important to our strategy going forward, in addition to asking companies to pay for a portion of what it costs us, particularly in inspections and safety. So there are some revenue proposals in this budget that enable us to charge fees to industry to inspect just 25% of our costs for inspections, and that also will help us fund these offices in terms of supporting future development.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thank you.